What's going on, everybody? I hope you're all having a blessed day. And in today's video, as you can tell, I got my iPad with me right here because we are going through some crazy statistics for the housing market. Just off the top, house prices in the last roughly year have been up 18%. Can you imagine that? 18% in less than a year. And on top of that, this is the fastest we are seeing house prices surging in over 45 years. So guys, we're jumping right into it. And if you enjoy it, please hit the free like button and let's get started. So as you guys can see right here, the title says the housing market just keeps getting worse for buyers. We know that. If you do not own a home right now, it is brutal, especially if you're looking to buy a home. Renting is tough and trying to buy is tough. Prices haven't gone up this fast in at least 45 years. Guys, 45 years, that's just crazy to know that we are in the fastest growth for the housing market right now. Now, it continues saying U.S. home price growth is surging. That's good news for homeowners. We know that. Bad news for home buyers. We also know that. And especially bad news for millennials. They're saying that millennials are coming into this market wanting to buy houses, but the prices are crushing them. Back to back, they're seeing increases they can hardly keep up. Now, between October 2020 and October 2021, the average price of an American home went up 18%. Guys, let that just sink in. 18%. So if you had a house that was worth $300,000 and you held it from October 2020 to October 2021, the average increase is 18%. So your house is now worth $354,000. Let that sink in right now. Absolutely insane appreciation. We're used to seeing, if you own a house, 2, 3, 4, 5% in appreciation per year, depending on what area you're in. But these numbers are crazy. Now, it does continue with some good news saying there's reasons to believe that the market will be calming down, CoreLogic said, highlighting that month-over-month growth has slowed to 1.3%, down from its peak of 2.3% in April. Now, we know this one thing, that there's nothing that can tell us otherwise. Any market that just keeps going up has to come down. We know that. Same for the stock market, same for the real estate market, same for anything when it comes to business in general or markets. What goes up must come down. The problem, though, is sometimes a new floor is created. A new level is created for house prices or for values or for the money. And that new floor that's created, even though the market might look like it's coming down, it sits at that new floor, which is ultimately way higher than what the market was prior to hitting that floor. So even though we believe prices will come down eventually, it'll probably be at the new floor level, which is still higher than what house prices were originally. Now, the CoreLogic CEO Frank Martell said in a statement, however, we expect home price growth to be moderate over the next near term as many buyers take a break for the holidays. We know that's true. We got Thanksgiving, we got Christmas, we got the New Year's coming up. We know that there's a lot more distractions going on right now, but how long are these distractions going to last? I still know that there are home buyers on the sideline waiting for the breaks to come, for these holidays to come, so they can snatch up opportunity and not have that much competition. So there's still going to be demand, but more than likely a lot cooler than typical market time, which is not during the holiday season. Now listen to this. The states that experienced the highest home price increases in this period were Arizona, Idaho, and Utah. Each had a surge of more than 24%. That's just ridiculous. 24%. That is coming from CoreLogic's data, which is a trusted source. Now, these record prices increases are good news for homeowners. We already know that. The U.S. homeowner equity increased 31% in last year's third quarter, adding $3.2 trillion to America's wealth, or about $56,700 per borrower. Big numbers, guys. And you're over here asking or wondering why it's so hard to get a house, why house prices keep going up, why? It's right here. Appreciation has been insane. When somebody comes to sell their house for 18% more than it was worth last year and wants to go buy a house, they're now paying that premium for that next house they're buying. Appraisals are all raising up. The floor prices are raising up. Things are just going up ultimately altogether. Now, there's some good news for millennials. Well, good and bad news. Right now is the hardest time to get into a home because prices are insane. But millennials, if you're a millennial, are not giving up. Look at this. Millennials applied for more mortgages than any other generation. 51% of mortgage applications were submitted by those between the ages of 26 and 24. Imagine. So we got millennials who are hungry, who want to own houses, who want to get homeowners equity, who want to be able to have the American dream. So they're aggressively still trying to buy, even though they're kind of stuck in the peak of a housing crisis where prices are so high and they just graduated and they're just trying to start a family and just trying to get their life situated, and then having to bump into this market. Even though all those odds are against them, they're still going in strong trying to buy a house. Now, this is important. I want you guys to listen to this. Despite the anticipated eventual return to normal, we're all hoping for it to get normal, the pandemic is expected to permanently raise the floor for U.S. home prices. Imagine. In their November housing forecast, economists at Fannie Mae predicted that the median price of a previously owned home would surpass $400,000 by the middle of 2023. $400,000. They're expecting the median house price to be. That's just insane. I remember just a couple years back, if you owned a $400,000 or $500,000 home, at least in Texas, the Dallas-Fort Worth area where I live, you were considered, wow, like this person's got money. Now you're getting $500,000 homes that are 2,000 square feet. Back then, a $500,000 home gives you an acre, gives you 4, 5, 6, 7,000 square feet. Now we're seeing that the median prices of homes are looking by 2023 to be about $400,000. It's crazy. And then it continues saying that the median new home price would likely hit a record high of $464,000 by the end of 2023, roughly $100,000 higher than it was at the start of 2021. Now, to wrap it up, it says younger demographics may be plowing ahead with home ownership, but the pandemic era market is the newest in a series of financial obstacles that has plagued millennials since their coming of age. Guys, it is crazy. So what we're seeing right now is millennials are trying so hard to get themselves a home. What we're seeing right now is house price appreciation is going in the sky. Now, this is just not for houses. This is for real estate in whole. We're seeing this across the board, even in commercial. Certain commercial assets are flying off the shelves for premiums at 4 or 5 caps when they're supposed to be sold at 7, 8, 9 caps. People are buying investment properties that don't make any sense because they say that appreciation is going to keep going up because they say there's no opportunity in this market. And what we're hearing today, which is December 10, 2021, year over year, inflation's at 6.8%. Unbelievable numbers, and numbers that was beyond expectations. And as you all know, that's why gas prices, eggs and milk and used cars and so forth, all of that is expensive. And then barely we're seeing wages for people increasing. And if they do increase, there was a funny statement that said, well, hey, you're now making $15 an hour. Congratulations. You can now afford what you can afford when you were making $7.25 an hour. Do you guys get it? Basically, you're moving nowhere because when you get higher income, everything else raises. So for those of you who are in this housing market and you're trying to buy a house, I wanted to go through this article with you just to give you some background on what's going on, why prices are so high, how things are going high, what the statistics are for these prices, and ultimately letting you realize that house prices, as much as we want them to go down, the governments keep kicking the can down the road, keep on pumping up more money and more money and more money, literally trillions of dollars in helicopters dropping onto people, which in turn is going to make dollar lose value. When the dollar loses value, assets go up in value. So a house that's worth 300 is now 400,000, which is not right for you, is not good for you. And we know that. But that's the problem that we're dealing with right now. And then the feds don't want to raise interest rates because they're afraid the market will crash from that. So inflation's staying up real high. And the only way to combat it is to raise interest rates. But they don't want to because they don't want a market to crash because businesses won't take loans. Buyers won't take loans for homes, and the market will just not stimulate as good as it is when the interest rates are low. So ultimately, guys, it's a disaster. I know there's people waiting to buy a house. I know there's people who are trying to buy a house. I know there are people who are wondering what's going to happen in this market. And at the end of the day, there's so much uncertainty right now. We have no clue what's going to happen. Every opinion is different from every single person. The top people that you can follow have different opinions. People that you respect have different opinions. And ultimately, it seems like nobody's on the same page. So to wrap up this video, my advice for all of you is this, and I share it in a lot of my videos. If you are looking to buy a home, and you're afraid that prices are going to keep going up, yet you can't afford to buy a home, do not buy a home. I would rather buy something at a costlier price when I can afford it than to buy it at a costly price when I can't afford it. Make sense? Don't pay a premium when you can't afford it. Pay a premium when you can afford it. The last thing you want is to have headaches and stress and family problems and mortgage problems and not being able to afford your home. We're seeing just this year insurance prices for houses rising 40%. Imagine, you're budgeting today, but next year the world and the dynamics change. Today your property taxes are $7,000. Next year they're $10,000. Today your insurance is $2,000. Next year it's $3,000. The world is wild right now. Inflation is at all-time high, and they're saying that inflation hasn't been up this high since 1982. So things are wild. So everybody, please be safe out there. Please make sure you subscribe to this channel because I keep you updated. I talk about the housing market, the real estate market. I talk about business, finance. I talk about how to flip houses, how to buy houses, how to protect yourself when you're renting out your properties, investments, and all of that. I talk on this channel. So if you guys like that, you get any value, hit that subscribe button, and most importantly, like this video if you got value. Thank you all so much for watching, and for right now, I'm out.